Good morning, and thanks again for joining us for another Workshop Wednesday. It's good to see some new faces here in the room. And today, Zach tells me we're covering the last little bits of solvers that he hasn't that we got left to go over, as well as we got a couple tips and tricks up our sleeves. And as usual, just if you got any questions, don't hesitate to ask them, and we'll try to get around to them sort of in priority. One common question that we found people were asking us was, if you bought Bloodhound, how do you get the latest version? So the easiest way is literally just to go to our main website and click the download link. There's actually no difference between the paid and trialed versions. There's actually no paid/trial version. It's the same file. So you can always be guaranteed to get the latest version by just downloading it here. And for those of you that are curious, well, how do we license it? It's all done through Machine ID. Again, there's no kind of trial version of the file. There's no paid version of the file. It's the exact same file. Alternatively, if you go to our support Zendesk, you can see here that I've posted this this little announcement here that you can directly link to get the latest version of Bloodhound without having to fill in your email and that sort of thing, because I know some people are a little annoyed by that, but that's just sort of how we capture our leads and whatnot. So if you don't want to go through that, and your chances are your email is probably already in the system since you're in this webinar, and you just go to the support center again, and it's just you click this link right here. And just to let you know, we're going to be building in a little bit of a version checker within Bloodhound itself. So next time that you do open it, the plan is to have it so that it will self-update, so you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. But for now, you just click this link, and away you go. Okay, thanks guys for joining us again, and I'm going to pass it over to Zach, who is going to continue with going over the solvers.
Right. Good morning. Thanks, Jeremy. Morning, everybody. So I'm let me take over here. Let's see. All right, just a second here. It's switching over. All right. First, I'm going to run a poll here. I'd like to kind of get an idea of where our audience is, and their knowledge of Bloodhound and their knowledge of NinjaTrader. So if you guys wouldn't mind answering the poll, I'd appreciate it. Basically, if I find that everybody's advanced users, I'll just kind of go through things a lot quicker than if I find there's a number of new people to NinjaTrader or new people to Bloodhound. Then I'll kind of do a little more explanation. So it looks like about close to 30% are somewhat new to Bloodhound. All right. And so for those of you who are new to Bloodhound, this is today should be the end of a series that I just did, where I went through every solver one at a time and explained them. So for those of you who are new, it would be beneficial if you went back, I think, 5 weeks ago, and it's either 5 or 6 weeks ago, where I started this series of walking through each solver at a time. So, and I'll show you how to get to those here. Just a sec. So, all right, let me close the poll up. And I think you guys should be seeing my screen now. So, let's see, let me just double check. Yeah, all right. Okay, so let me show you how to get to the previous recordings and various other support that's available. All right, thanks, Randy. Appreciate it. All right, so to get to the previous recorded webinars, you can go to Bloodhound here, or you can go to support, and you see there's a Learn Bloodhound on both. And then right down here says webinars. You can click on that and just wait for the page to load. And here's kind of like some of the more recent ones that show up here. If you click on the title here, it will bring you into the full list. And so now here's the full list. So you can scroll through every solver there. We also have a YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and just search for Shark Indicators, you'll find our YouTube channel, and you can find all of the videos. All of our videos are hosted by YouTube, so you'll find all of our videos up there as well. They're just not organized neatly like they are on the website. So let me scroll down here, and you'll notice that some of them, some of the webinars that are structured will have template files that you can download. Right? So the green button is the Bloodhound template file, and the red button is the NinjaTrader's chart template file. Right? So this chart template file will load up all the indicators that are on the chart, and it'll load up Bloodhound and load up Bloodhound's template file. Just a quick convenience for you guys. You know, if there isn't a template file, it could be because I was using custom indicators that day, or some of the like these training sessions today. I usually don't put template files up there because I'd rather you guys go through the videos and kind of create the solvers as you're watching the videos, so you get experience that way. All right, let me go back up to the top here. So if you have questions, any questions, you can go to the Contact Us page, and you can submit your questions to us on the form here. This will create a ticket for us on our support form, so that way either Jeremy or I can answer it. If you're new to Bloodhound and you'd like a little help getting started, or you're kind of stuck on something, then you can book an appointment with me with this button here, and I'll click on that and kind of show you. So set your time zone, and let's see. And you can select a time, a day and time that I'm available, and we'll have a one-on-one session. So, and I'll send you back a confirmation email once I confirm your request. All right, let me go back to the home page here. So yeah, let me show you what Jeremy had showed earlier was on the support center. So if you go to the support center, you'll see there's on the home page there's announcements here. So this is what Jeremy was showing you earlier, the latest version with the link, and also there's our latest email announcement showing the changes with version 106. If you scroll down, there's also another link right there. And that'll get you the latest Bloodhound file. And let me head back to the home page. So in this Learn section, right? So there's documentation on each solver. There's a video tutorial section to help get you started, and every once in a while there's some tips and tricks videos that kind of show you how to do specific tasks with Bloodhound. So, and then in general, like if you go to the downloads page, this is just a central page that shows all the available downloads, such as all the template files. There's some NinjaTrader strategy examples you can download from here as well. So, another resource for you to get help is I have a Skype account specifically for shark indicators. Right, so my Skype name is Zach White SI, and feel free to add me as a contact if you want. And if you do see me online here, that means I'm available for instant support, instant questions. We could even open up a GoToMeeting session. So, all right, with that, let's get started. So, what I'm going to I'm going to answer a question that just came in recently. I'm going to go over this quickly here. Let's see. The question is from Phil. So he was analyzing the SiSwings here, which is the green and red squared plot. So I'm just going to go over this quickly and show some various ways to analyze an indicator like this. So you can see it looks like it's plotting like a trailing stop type of plot, and also it's trying to determine the trend as well. All right, first thing I need to do is add Bloodhound onto the chart. So Bloodhound is under SI. So we go down to the S's, and there's Bloodhound. So it's SI Bloodhound. Add that to the chart. And here's the default plot on there. And you'll see a button appears and a pull-down menu as well. So if I click on the button, that will bring up Bloodhound's interface, like so. And I'm going to show some various ways that you can look at this TSsuperTrend indicator. So one way is I'm going to use a comparison solver. So I'm going to compare the SuperTrend price value to the actual price, to the instrument's price value here. So let me add that. And so one simple way is I can compare the closing price to the indicator. So I'm going to switch this over to the indicator and jump down to the T's. There it is. And you'll see once I add the indicator down here, you'll see there's various plots that I can select from. So we have the uptrend, downtrend, and you'll see there's a unique one here, a bool series. I'll show what that is later in just a sec. So the uptrend is most likely going to be this green plot, and the downtrend is going to be this red plot. So I want to analyze the uptrend for longs and the short trend, or the downtrend for shorts. Let's see. And sorry guys, I'm pausing. I saw Phil actually posted a little comment there. Yeah, Phil, Jeremy's going to work with you on that. So I'm just kind of showing everybody else the benefit of, or showing everybody else how to use an indicator that has a bool series. So. All right, so there. That was a simple way of comparing price to essentially this, what's kind of like a moving average, or a calculated trailing stop. So you can see whenever the SiSwings has the green plot, then Bloodhound gives you a long signal, and when it switches over to the red plot, Bloodhound's giving you the sell signal. All right, let me also show another way of using the Boole series. So the Boole series, essentially Boolean is a term for true, excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. It's a term for true or false. So true or false in computer programming is either a 0 for false or a 1 for true. So Boole series has a, even though it's a true or false, it has a value. It can be converted to a value of 0 or 1. And since we're dealing with a value, we can use the threshold solver. And let me name this here. I always like to name my solvers. And then we name this guy. All right. So I'm going to use the threshold solver here because it has this fixed threshold values, right? And so we're looking for a value of 1 or 0 from the Boole series. And this will make sense here in just a moment. So, oops. All right, there it is. And for my long and shorts are going to be set to this Boole series. Hit OK. And what I'm going to do is essentially, excuse me, when you're working with the threshold solver, you want to put the highest numbers up on top and the lowest numbers down on bottom. So since Boole series are either a Boole value, a Boolean, Boole is short for Boolean. So a Boolean value is either 0 or 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a threshold that's right in the middle of 0.5. So when the Boolean value is true, it's going to be equal to 1, so it'll be greater than 0.5. So I want a long output when that occurs. And there you go. You can see it's already working there. Let me turn off the comparison solver. And then when the Boolean series is false, it's going to equal to 0. So so for the short side, I want it to be 0 or less. So I'll put a 1 in there. Now we'll plot a 1 to the short side. And let's see what is going on here. There we go. Oh. All right, and so that's just another way to analyze, what direction the TSsuperTrend is at. So, all right, well, just wanted to show you that, and Jeremy's gonna clip this out and turn this into a tips and tricks video. So, all right, so let me. I'm gonna look through the questions here real quick before I get started. So when I get started, we're going to start with the Dorschen swing trend and the swing volatility. So let's see, John here. Zach, you might tell how new people where TSsuperTrend came from. Thanks, John. Yeah, that's a good point. TSsuperTrend, I can just tell you as a general blanket statement, The only indicators, well, it's not completely true, but majority of true. All the indicators on here that you may see that you don't recognize, they either came from Big Mike's or they came from NinjaTrader's download section. So some of these indicators might have come from Big Mike's Elite section. So I am an Elite member, so I joined way back when Big Mike got started, and it's well worth the money. If you're not an Elite member of Big Mike's, it is worth the one-time cost to become an Elite member. There's lots of extra stuff up there when you're an Elite member. So, so the TSsuperTrend probably, I'm pretty sure, probably came from Big Mike's, but it could be up on NinjaTrader's site as well. All right, so let's see, Randy here. I use the Anna SuperTrend and have to use the Bull Series plot. Okay, yeah, the Anna. Let me bring this back up here. Yeah, these series of Anna indicators. Essentially, this guy is a really good programmer, and even though the plots are exactly the same, you'll notice some of these names here you'll recognize. What he did is he tried to write the indicator in such a way that it uses less of your CPU power. So being a good programmer, he kind of rewrote the code to be a little more efficient. But the way processors are nowadays, it's probably not much of a big issue. And if you're a serious trader, I highly recommend, you really need an Intel i-series. You should go with the Intel i5 or i7 processor. So hopefully soon I'm going to move up to the Intel i7. Right now I'm on an AMD 4-core, and it does okay. Let's see, a few more comments or questions coming in. Let me get through these. Here we go. Gary's got a question. Zach, in the future, will the strategy Raven have an off-on button or long-short only button? No, Gary, the SI Raven is a free introductory strategy for Bloodhound, just so you can easily get Bloodhound and do some back testing. Do some back testing with your Bloodhound strategy. Ultimately, what will do that is we have a secondary or a complementary product to Bloodhound called Falcon. And Falcon will have components of Bloodhound built into it. You can run it as a standalone, but it'll be very powerful with Falcon. You'll be able to modify your stops in just about any way you can think of. At least that's what we're hoping. So Raven is just the freebie that comes with Bloodhound, just so you can at least get started on doing some back testing without having to program your own strategy. And Falcon will be the stop management and profit target management full-fledged strategy that will complement Bloodhound. So we really don't have any more planned improvements for Raven. Let's see. Gavin, so you're not able to find SI Raven. So Gavin, you should be able to right-click on your chart, go to Strategies, and if you have Bloodhound showing up, it'll show up right there in your Strategies window. If it's still not showing up with you, send us in a support ticket, or maybe after this webinar I can find out what's going on. So, let's see, Gary. Yeah, you're welcome, Gary. So, all right, Gavin, you're asking, how do I get Raven? Raven installs when you install Bloodhound. So Raven comes with Bloodhound. So Gary, you're asking, I guess you're asking when Falcon will be out. We don't have an ETA on that yet. We're trying to get Bloodhound up to a certain point for now first, and then we'll work on getting Falcon out. So this is just pure speculation, but we're hoping to release a beta version of Falcon sometime early next year. Let's see, Randy. Okay, so it looks like I think I got all your guys' questions. All right, great. So let me let's get going on here, and then I have another. If I get through these last two solvers here, I have another chart, a request from another user who wanted me to show his question on the workshop here, and it deals with multiple time frames and lots of indicators and stuff. I thought it would be a great real example to use, so we'll try and get there. Now, last week I almost showed what the Dorschen swing trend indicator was doing. I almost basically answered it last week in trying to answer how one of the functionalities in the support resistance worked. So, so there's going to be two places where pretty much I'm answering what the Dorschen swing trend, what the indicator is doing. So, so let me add this on here, and let me. Yeah, I'm just going to get rid of this, and I'm going to add the swing trend indicator onto my chart. So if I go down to the SI, and here we go. So the indicator is just called SiSwings. The solver is called Dorschen swing trend because a Big Mike member, his name is Dorschen, and he was the one that originally wrote the indicator, and he was kind enough to grant Jeremy not a license but permission for us to use his indicator in Bloodhound. So therefore we wanted to give him full credit. So that's why the solver is named Dorschen swing trend. And so this swing indicator is actually I think it's high lows. Let's see. Yeah, actually both of these indicators here are slight modifications of his original indicator so that they work a little better with Bloodhound. But the original code was written by Dorschen on Big Mike's. So just want to give that credit out to him. And what I like to do is I like to modify the double top, double bottom threshold to 0.5 ATRs. Just kind of a little visual preference I like. And okay, so you noticed what happened here. I added an indicator to the chart. So whenever you add an indicator to the chart or a strategy, right, the chart has to refresh. And because I have the Bloodhound window open, remember Bloodhound's an indicator. So NinjaTrader needs to refresh the chart and it has to refresh the indicator. And what happened was I didn't name my template yet. So Bloodhound is asking me, would you like to save your Bloodhound template? Because it doesn't have a name to save the template under yet. So let me click yes. And put a name in here. And let's see. I grab the last workshop. And put today's date in there. Okay. There. Now you can see the name shows up top here on the Bloodhound button. So, all right, let me pause for just a sec. Bob wrote in a question or comment. Let me just take a look. So, yeah, just for any of you who are new, we do make your questions a priority over what the day's workshop theme or topic is. So we do make your questions priority over whatever the current topic is. So let's see. So Bob is asking, were you able to get the latest price action swing tool? I received notice from Big Mike, but when I downloaded import, it says it was older than the one I had on my machine. You know, Bob, I gotta say, you know, Jeremy and I talked about this, and you know, unfortunately, you know, we do have to kind of draw the line somewhere of what we're willing to support. So yeah, that's kind of something that we really don't want to get into, because that opens up a whole can of worms for us, you know, as to how much you know support time we have to put in, especially when it's not related to Bloodhound. So, but I'll try and let's see. Yeah, you know, Bob, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not. Couldn't really give you an answer to that, anyways. You know, I've noticed myself when I posted my own indicators up on Big Mike's that sometimes I had to create a whole new post because the forum wouldn't allow me to replace the indicator that I had updated on the original posting. So there could be, so the author could have created a new download post for that indicator. You know, so that's probably, that would be my guess. So, yeah, sorry, that's kind of like the best answer I can give you. So, yeah, you know, Randy brings up a good question. Bob, probably best to either ask Big Mike or ask the author himself. So, as to why you might be getting that message there. All right, let me jump back here, back to the swing, the SI swing indicator. So you can see what this indicator is doing is it's marking with text. So it's using like the NinjaTrader swing indicator to detect you know, the swing points. So these lows and highs and lows and highs again, and it's also marking them with text, right? So this is a lower low, this is a lower high, right? And right here we got a double bottom, and right here we got a double top. So this double bottom, we can see the bottom is actually a few ticks lower than this previous lower low, right? And so that separation value is determined by the it is determined by that ATR value I adjusted, right? So this ATR value is what adjusts that threshold, or what adjusts the difference between you know, the two swing points as to when it's detected as a double bottom or a double top. All right. Now, so the Bloodhound solver is looking at this indicator, and it's using this indicator and is trying to determine when when the overall trend is either in an uptrend, marked by the green, or a downtrend marked by the short output. And I'm not sure if this is something coming directly from the indicator, or Jeremy might have written some logic into the solver to analyze, when the downtrend and when the uptrend is changed. But I will show you the logic of how the solver determines when price action is in a downtrend versus when it's in an uptrend. So let me draw a line, which I think is just F2. You can see, yeah, there we go. So we can see this previous higher low, or this previous low point. When this low point was broken, and also it takes two criteria. So this low point has to be broken. As you can see, it was broken by this bar right here. So let me, wrong arrow. Let me get this arrow going. Okay, so we can see the price action was broken by this bar. But also at the same time, the indicator, there has to be enough price movement for the indicator to change directions. Excuse me. So let me try and find, well, I'll just keep moving along, and I'll probably find an area where it looks a little confusing, and hopefully that'll give me a chance to kind of explain further how this indicator is working. So if we step forward to this next place where the uptrend is detected, let me draw a line across here. And so simple enough, when this price bar breaks the previous high point right on the next bar, it's determined as an uptrend, right? So simply when price breaks the previous low, you're in a downtrend, and when price breaks the previous high point, you're in an uptrend. Now, sometimes we enter into this no man's zone right here. And so what's occurring, all right, sometimes even I get a little confused when I'm looking at this. Okay, yeah, so here's what's occurring is this previous low point has to be detected first. So right now, because this low point here, mark this guy, so this low point has been broken, but what's happened is this low point here hasn't been created yet. So, and you can see that we're well above this previous high point. We're well above this previous high point. So just because we break this low point doesn't necessarily mean we've all of a sudden we're in a downtrend, right? So price could have come down a little bit lower and then, bounced off of this moving average and kept on going up. So to give you, to create a positive downtrend, this previous low point, or I'm sorry, this previous high point or this previous low point needs to be broken. And so what the solver is waiting is it's waiting for this low point here to be detected, right? So price has to come down, and oops, price has to come down, and then price has to move up enough. It has to move up enough so that this new uptrend, so that the indicator is saying, okay, we've reached this low point, and now it looks like price is moving up, and so the indicator is now in an upswing mode. It's in an upswing mode, and so in real time it would actually start plotting the green line if we were watching this in real time. So when you're looking at this historically, it's kind of hard to visualize what's really going on here. But if we were watching this in real time, on this bar here, it would still be only plotting the red downswing line, and not until we actually get to this bar here. Oops, let me mark that. So not until we actually get to this bar would the indicator start plotting this green upline. And so that would lock in this low point. And so once this low point is determined, and we can see this low point here is lower. Let me drag this line over. So we can see this low point here broke this previous high point way back here. And then that's what determined that, you know what, we moved down, price moved down enough, so now we're actually in a downtrend. So just to kind of sum up, this gap here of no trend couldn't be determined until this low point was determined, and this low point could be compared to a previous high point or low point. So let me grab a drink of water and see if there's any questions or comments on here. All right, no questions. So let me kind of keep scrolling through the chart. Excuse me. So let's analyze this guy right here, see what's going on. We get a line, so here's our high point. And let me mark it with an up arrow. All right, so we can see that once this candle breaks, when this candle, let me mark this over. When this candle breaks the previous high point, we're kind of in the situation of once again a no man's zone, and so we have to wait for this higher high point to actually be determined by the indicator before an uptrend is detected. So once price moves down enough and the red line starts plotting, then we can say that we're in an uptrend. Excuse me. And all right, so let's see what's going on here. So keep moving along. So once again, this low point is broken, and we're kind of in this no man's zone until this lower low is actually determined. So this lower low isn't determined until price moves up enough to in a sense, lock in this lower low. So remember, this Dorschen swing indicator it's not exactly like NinjaTrader's swing indicator. Right, so NinjaTrader's swing indicator, and let me get this on the chart here. So NinjaTrader's swing indicator, as you can see, that it has a strength value. The strength value, all it's doing is it's counting the number of bars. So with the strength set to 5, what's needed is for this high point plot to be detected, you need 5 bars on the back side and 5 bars on the forward facing side before this high point is actually determined. Let me go here into real time. Right, so we can see that the Dorschen swing indicator determined a higher high, but the NinjaTrader swing indicator hasn't detected this as the high point yet because it's only, let's see, I'm not sure which bar it starts counting on, but we have 1, 2, 3 bars so far, maybe 4 if it includes the actual bar of the high point, which I think it does. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need a 5th bar to close before the swing indicator will actually mark this as a high point. And actually, let me throw up an indicator that I made. So I took the NinjaTrader's swing indicator and modified it a little bit, and I posted this up on Big Mike somewhere, I think, or maybe NinjaTrader. If you want this, please don't ask me to email it to you, and please look on Big Mike's. I really appreciate that if you do that. So what this does is you can see it has this gap in here. So this modified version of NinjaTrader's indicator is it doesn't backfill. You see, so I got rid of the backfill. So when it starts plotting, this is the actual bar that the high point was detected on. So the high point wasn't detected until, let me draw an arrow, oops, on here. All right, so this high point wasn't detected until this bar was determined. Until this bar, when this bar opened, that's when the swing indicator was able to detect this. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so counting the bar that made the high point, that's bar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on the open of the 6th bar is when the indicator was able to determine this high point. But you can see that Dorschen swing indicator uses price action as well. So not only just the number of bars, but also it uses price action as well to identify these high points and low points. So it's a little smarter than NinjaTrader's swing indicator. All right, let's see. Randy popped up with a question there. Let's see. Or I'm sorry, Gary's got a question. Let's see. But Zach, why did the last example turn green before we actually put in a higher low? Yeah. Good point. Let's see. Let's go back here to where we were. Let's see. There we are. Okay. There's some of our plots where I was working. Let me go back a little further. Okay. So here is why. Let me mark this guy. This guy right here. So if we look at what's going on, so we had a lower low and then we had a higher low. So a higher low essentially is kind of like half the criteria that you need for saying yes, I could be in an uptrend, or an uptrend. So right. So if you get a higher low, that kind of tells you that an uptrend could be beginning, but of course you have to break. But so how about this higher low? So this higher. So we have another higher low, but in order to stay in this uptrend, the previous high has to be broken. But we see right here we got a double top, and so double top, and so the price action failed to move higher, and so then it dropped back down and it killed our uptrend. So there's two requirements to keep an uptrend going. One is you have to have a higher low, and the second one is you have to break your previous high point. So right here we have our higher low, and also we broke the previous high point. And so now we have both criteria is met. And so now we're in an uptrend. And so right here, we had a double top. So double top, right, is a standard price action pattern that newbies get taught, that look for double tops or triple tops, and those are indications of price reversals. So we have this double top, and we broke this previous low point, and so most likely we're going to be in a downtrend. So that's what happened here, where we just switched over instantly. So let's look at some of these other points, other places. Let me go back to the real time here and take a look what's happened here. Okay, there. Let me modify this indicator here real quick. Let's turn that off. Okay. A little easier to see when the chart's stretched out here. So let's see what happened, why we switched over instantly from a long trend to a short trend. So let's so here's our previous low point, which was a double bottom. And so we did get a lower high here, and we broke our previous low point as well. So I'm not exactly sure what the internal logic is of this, but this thing might be smart enough that it may see that if a double bottom is detected and price breaks that might just automatically put you in a downtrend. Same thing where if a double top is detected and price breaks that double top, that might just automatically put you in an uptrend. But at the same time, you'll see that if you have a double top, you can't break that double top without actually having a low point being created first. So, yeah. So there you go, Randy, or Gary, I'm sorry. So Gary, that's why sometimes we can just switch over from a long trend to a short trend instantly, is because both criteria just happen to be met on that switch over. Whereas when you have a gap here, we are waiting. We have one criteria met, which is we've broken the previous low point, but we don't have a lower high yet. Right, so essentially when this low point, when this lower low is created, essentially that tells us that, you know, hey, a lower high is going to be created, and so we don't have to wait for this lower high to actually be detected. We can just wait for this lower low to be determined, and this lower low won't be determined until price moves up a little bit, up enough to start the new uptrend. Let me kind of see what's going on here. Well, all right. Well, unfortunately, price has moved too much, but so let me get back to this. All right, so this lower low is determined as soon as price moves up a little bit and it starts plotting the green line here. All right, let's see. There's a few more questions here. Let's see. So Randy, aren't you using 3 on the Dorschen swing and 5 on the NT? Yes, I am, Randy. Yes, but still, you know, I guess the way I was explaining how the swing trend works, it's still that. I guess my point was when I was trying to explain how the Dorschen swing trend works is that let me pull up the indicator here. Is that the Dorschen indicator or the SI swing indicator has, let's see here, even though it has a swing sensitivity, it does have also price movement built into it. So I think, trying to look for a setting here. So let me check the other swing indicator. Yeah, here we go. So this swing high lows, you can see it has this percent distance. All right, so that percent distance is the price movement value, and I do believe that's also built into the SI swings. But clearly that parameter is not revealed. So I don't know, I could be wrong. Maybe it is exactly like NinjaTrader swing indicator, but I don't believe it is. But you know what? Let's just change this to 5 and remove that. Okay, Randy. So we can see that NinjaTrader, the NinjaTrader swing indicator, hasn't started plotting yet, but the Dorschen or the SI swing indicator has already determined a higher high here. So yeah, so Dorschen's indicator is a little smarter. So good point, Randy. All right, let me get to some more questions. Let's see. Gary, I understand that, but on the 415 example, it did not look like that happened. Okay, let me go find that 415 example. Was that Gary's? I take it that was 415 in the morning. Let's see. So I don't think it's this one. Yeah, that would have to be 4:15 in the morning. Let's see, I don't think it's this one. Yeah, let's see, here's 4:15. No, not that one. All right, so it's back where I marked it. All right, let me keep scrolling back. let's see, was it this one, Gary? Okay, thank you. All right, let's see what's going on here. So, okay, so we have a lower low here, and so when price moved up, so when price broke the previous high, now we don't, so one condition was met. One condition was met. So therefore it stopped plotting. We're not, one condition was met, so therefore we weren't quite in an uptrend yet. But our previous high was broken, so therefore we may not necessarily be in a downtrend anymore. And let's see, so price comes down, and okay, yeah, so here's what's happening. If you look at how low price is, so price is, so essentially price had to get down to right here. So price got to this point right here, which is above our previous low point. So I'm thinking that if we do a comparison, so here's our previous low, and essentially, no, remember the plots always occur one bar at the open of the next bar. So this downtrend, or this red line, or this higher low, was detected when price got to this point right here, which is, the price is 1.2919, or where this thick white line is. So price got down here, and essentially this red line started to plot, and so that established a downswing on the indicator. But this price is much higher than the previous low point, and so as soon as this downtrend was determined, then that's when the indicator was able to say, you know what, even though this low point hadn't been locked in yet, I guess price had been higher than the low point. So this price up here had been higher than this previous low point, and so that was enough to be able to say we're in an uptrend. And even when this bar closed, we're still higher than this previous low point. And so logic would tell you that, you know, we're in a potential uptrend. And of course, you know, price could have kept going down, in which case I'm sure the indicator would have, or the solver would have switched back over to a downtrend. So let's see, that was so Gary, yeah, so I hope that answers your question, Gary. All right, Randy, SiSwings is also already indicating higher low with no additional bars on the right edge. So Gary, I think you're talking about at the beginning of the chart here. Right, so this higher low is already determined, and you can see price is above it, so it's going to stay put until price moves high enough, in which case the indicator has determined that a new upswing has started once price moves high enough. So I hope that's what you're commenting on, Gary. Oh, no, so, all right, so Gary, you were commenting on where we were just at. So Right. Okay. So let me use this. So so you can see that this higher low has been determined, even though the next upswing has not started yet. But the indicator is saying that so far we've created a higher low so far. And once price moves up enough and it starts a new upswing, in other words, it'll start plotting this green line, that will lock in that higher low as well. So,
Order filled.
also keep in mind that this indicator does have to backpaint, which is kind of unfortunate, but it does have to backpaint because if price moves up enough just to trigger a new upswing, but then pulls back enough. Wait, let me think about that. Sometimes this gets kind of confusing. I can't think of it right now, but I can't think of the explanation that I've seen before. However, I have seen this indicator backpaint. Just because it's trying to, it's trying to determine these high and low points ahead of time. And yeah, so if a lower high is determined, let's see, how does that work out? Gosh. If I could see it, I could explain it to you. It's a little difficult when it's not visually right in front of me. So I'll try and get through. Let me try and get through some of these other comments and questions here. Let's see. All right. Yeah. So Randy and Gary are commenting back on this previous bar. Let me get back here again. Okay, so as we saw back at the in real time on the chart, we saw that we could speculate that the indicator, once it closed on this bar here, let me mark it. So once this bar closed, we can see that the indicator was anticipating this higher low. So it has started plotting this higher low point once this bar had closed. Right, so on this bar here, where my white arrow is, it was plotting this higher low. And so with a higher low and this higher high being created, the two conditions were met, and therefore we were in an uptrend. And then eventually we can see that price came in a little further. This higher low was locked in as price continued to move up. So that's how this all worked out. So, and let's see, maybe that would be kind of neat if we could watch this happen in real time, but let's see. Well, maybe we can get back to this. Maybe price will move up, create a double top, and then break this low point here. So I'll try and remember to keep an eye on this so we can see what's going on. But for now, I think I have beat this solver to death. So let me just read through some of these questions or comments here, see if there's any last question or comment on this solver. Let's see. So Gary made the comment, it could not have detected that higher low before it happened. Well, as you can see, Gary, here, this higher low has been detected, but it's not locked in. Obviously, it's not locked in. This higher low is not locked in until price moves up enough to start a new upswing. Right. So this bar, even though it looks like it's moving up, this bar could actually move down, and price could keep moving down, which would move this higher low point down. Right. So actually, yeah, you know what? Thanks. That's what I was talking about when I was saying this indicator back paints. Right. So if price kept, the current bar that's building, if it keeps moving down and closes down, and the next bar closes down, this indicator will have to remove this higher low and move it to the current bar that created a lower higher low, and it'll have to remove this text right here. So we'll keep an eye on this and see how this on how this progresses. Let's see. All right. So Randy, if price drops below the higher low, it will repaint. Yes. So Gary, right. Both conditions were met, but the green condition started before the higher low was even on the chart. No, not necessarily, Gary. I think, let me go back to where we were looking. There we go. I'm going to mark this guy here so I can't miss it there. So actually, this indicator started painting this higher low on this bar. So this bar marked by the red arrow is when this higher low was actually, that's when the indicator started painting this higher low. It actually would have started painting the higher low on this bar marked by the red arrow. And so that's how the solver was able to mark this or determine that this was an uptrend in the beginnings. And then this higher low, and then the indicator would have had to move the higher low to the next bar, which made a lower point. And then this was locked in, and the indicator didn't backpaint anymore once price action moved up. So, so yes, Gary, this indicator does backpaint. So we'll keep an eye on this and see if price keeps moving down. Hopefully it does, and we can actually watch this indicator move this higher low even further down. So, all right, let me bring up the Bloodhound interface. So, right, so this solver, as you can see, doesn't have any inputs. It was specifically designed to analyze this indicator itself. So there's no other indicator inputs into it. Who knows? Maybe in the future we could modify this solver to analyze other indicators, but I'm not sure if that's even possible. So, all right. So let's move on to the last solver here. All right. So the swing volatility. Now, volatility is let's see. Let me put some values in here. This looks like a mess. Let's see. So each line is 10 ticks. So minimum volatility, let's try 10. Target volatility is try 20. There we go. That looks good. All right, so let me explain what volatility is. So volatility is the measure of movement. And in this particular case, we're measuring the volatility of the swing points, to be precise. So we're measuring the volatility from the low points to the high points. So we're measuring volatility from here to here. And we can see we can measure that volatility. We can measure it simply in ticks or ATRs, points. Yeah, points would be the instrument's point value. So like if I had this on the ES is a little easier to explain, but if my instrument was the ES, right, 4 ticks would equal 1 point. So, and then you have Renko bricks. So, so right now, I'm just to keep it simple so it's easy to visualize, I'm looking for a target of 20 ticks on the volatility and a minimum of 10 ticks. So what does this minimum volatility do? Well, let me kind of show. So, well, explaining the target volatility is a little easier. So we can see that this swing point here, marked by the arrow, let me make this guy really thick. All right. So this here, we can see this was more than 20 ticks. So if I look at the price of the instrument over here, we're at 28.55, and the top of this is at 28.78. So that was a 23 tick move in this swing movement here. Now, now you can see that we didn't get a plot, or I should say the solver wasn't able to determine the swing movement until this candle right here. Now let me just check some settings on this. So our swing is set to 3. Swing sensitivity, number of swings 3. Okay, and we're averaging them. Let me set this differently. Let me set this. Well, actually, I'll leave it on average, but I'm going to set this swing sensitivity down to 1. So. And swing start to go 0, and direction that's off, and all right, let me set up my indicator so we can see it. I'm going to set the indicators up so they match what we're using here. So actually, well, no, I might as well just set this to match. So we're using a swing number of 5. Oh, oops, number of swings, sorry. Got these backwards. So let me set this to 5. So the swing sensitivity of 5 matches, there we go, I had them backwards. So the indicator, right, so the my swing indicator here. The strength is set to 5, which, oh shoot, it's covered up. Wait a minute. And also, let me look at this. The SI swing indicator, the swing sensitivity is set to 5. And so our swing sensitivity is set to 5. So the solver and the indicators on the chart are using the same settings. The number of swings, so before, right, this was set up, I think the default was 3. So the default setting for this solver was it was looking back on the last 3 swings, right? So if we're starting at the beginning of the chart, this move would be swing 1, this would be swing 2, and this would be swing 3. And what it's doing is it's averaging, it's averaging those swing values together. But to help explain this, I'm going to set the number of swings to 1 so that there's no averaging going on. It's easier to see that way. Okay, so now this is making more sense. It's easier to see what's going on here. And let's see. I also need to change the threshold values. So let me change the threshold value of Bloodhound. So you can see that, right, the reason why I'm doing this is you can see on this bar it's plotting an output on this bar, even though this bar only closed at a 18 tick swing value. So if we count up from here, from a price of 28.55 up to the close of this, that's only 18 ticks of movement. But you can see Bloodhound's painting it. That's because our threshold is set to 0.8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the threshold value so that we need to set the threshold to 1. And now we can see that Bloodhound's not it is painting the background when a 20 tick swing movement is actually occurred. So before, when I had the threshold set at 0.8, only 80% of the 20 tick target had to be met. So that's why it was painting with only an 18 tick movement. But now that I set the threshold, Bloodhound's threshold value to 1 or 100%, that means all 20 ticks have to be, a 20 tick movement has to be met before the background is painted, before the racing stripe is painted. So the purpose, I guess, the reason why the solver was created, the purpose behind the solver, is when you're trading, especially if you're doing like if you're scalp trading, you want to make sure that there's enough price action in the market to take a trade. Right? So if you're trying to, create an automated system, or even just, your discretionary system, you kind of want to stay out of this chop, right? There's just very little price movement in this area right here. And so this solver helps you determine when there's enough price volatility, enough price movement, so that if you do take a trade, that at least historically there's been a pretty good trend moves or price movement in the past, and hopefully that will go forward. And so if you jump into a trade, right, if there's been a lot of volatility, hopefully you won't get caught up in this chop like this. So that's kind of like the main purpose of what this solver is trying to determine for you, is that there's been enough price movement that your profit target will get met, will get hit. All right, so I started from here and measured the move up. Right, so as soon as this bar closed, the solver is able to see that there was, what was it, like 23 ticks of price movement. So 23 ticks was greater than our 20 tick target, and therefore our conditions were met, and it painted the background. Now we can see it painted for 2 bars, but as soon as this bar opened, apparently the swing indicator determined that we were now in a downswing. So now, since we're in a new downswing, the counting starts over. So we're starting to measure from this high point. We're measuring from this high point, and let me grab this. So now, yeah, so once the indicator detects that we're in this downswing, then the counting starts over from this high point. And not until, so as soon as, so as soon as this bar closed, so remember, so the price up here is 28.78, and this down here, 28.58.
Order filled.
So this bar closed, this bar literally closed on our 20 tick target, and that's why we got, so therefore Bloodhound, it met our requirements, and Bloodhound started painting, the background. And we can see all these bars were painted until until this bar opened, and then the swing indicator determined that now we're plotting an uptrend, so that we're in an uptrend. And of course, this up movement didn't go high enough to make a 20 tick swing move. So let me take a look at some real-time action here, see what's going on. Well, it looks like the currency markets are just kind of dead right now. Let's see. Oil isn't doing much. Let's see, the euro's not doing much. Let's see. Oh. Well, the ES is let's switch over to the ES. It's making some pretty good movements. And let me put the ES on a, let's see, how about a 2? Well, looking at the chart here, actually I'll put it on a 4. Oops, a 4 range. And next, let me change this to 8 ticks, which is 2 points. Let me change the minimum to 4 ticks, which is 1 point. So I'm looking for a 2 point move in the swings. Wow. Okay. maybe that's a little too much. Let's see. So I want to make sure I have everything right. So I got, yeah, ES, 4 range, 4 tick, 8 tick, and, oh, no, set the average, number of swings 1, swing sensitivity 5. I think the swing sensitivity might be too much. So let me put this on a 2 range chart. There we go. That works a little better. All right, since I've gotten since I've kind of gotten into this indicator, I'm going to take a moment and look at your questions before I keep moving on. Let's see. So Randy's asking the question. So number of swings is saying if volatility maintains for X number of swings, then plot. Correct, Randy. And you know what? Shoot, I missed looking at that higher low indicator moving. Darn it. All right, so Randy's saying, well, so Randy, it depends on what evaluation mode you're in. So the number of swings, if I set this to 2, then the solver is going to take the last two swings, and it's going to average them out. It's going to average them together, and then look to see if an 8-tick movement between the last two swings has been determined, or if this 8-tick move was met. Now let me change the properties on the chart, and we want 4 ticks. All right. So each horizontal line is a 1-point move or a 4-tick move. And okay, so let's kind of look at this gap here. So here's our mode. So we're averaging the last two swings together, and we're looking for an 8-tick move. All right, so I'm going to start here. So I'm going to start from here. And let me draw an arrow. So we're going from here to here. Let me beef this up a little bit. So let me measure that out. So we're at 30.25 to 33.5. So that is 3.25 points, which is 13 ticks. All right, so this move here is 13 ticks. Let me make a note of that before I forget. Let's see, I don't know the shortcut for text. F12, all right, F12. All right, so we got 13 ticks. And let's see. Need to change the color of the font. Here we go, white. Make it bold. Make it a little bigger. And let me make it even bigger. 16, let's go to 18. Okay. There we go. Okay, so this move here was a 13-tick move. And this next move let me draw an arrow. This next move is a 6-tick move. And let me put a background on this guy here. Alright, so we have a 6-tick move. Apply that. I'm going to make this a little darker here. Might as well just make it black, huh? Alright. Alright, so we have a 13-tick move and a 6-tick move. So if we add those together, that's 19 ticks divided by 2. So if you're averaging them out, that is 9.5 ticks. And so 9.5 ticks is greater than our 8-tick target. So that's why this is continuing to paint. That's why all of this got painted here. Now, when price moves down, so when we're starting this next swing, this next downswing, which let me just use the same arrow. So we can see that on this bar here, it's where it stops painting. We can see the output, the bloodhound output is at about 0.6. It's about 0.6. So the reason why it stopped painting is we're taking the 6 ticks of this previous move, and on the current move, this is a 5-tick. Yeah. So from this high point down to this bar here. I better put the arrow on it. So this arrow represents 5 ticks of movement. So let me edit this. Right, so if you average out 6-tick and 5-tick, right, that's a 5.5-tick move. So far, this upswing and the current movement of this downswing, the average is only 5.5 ticks. So therefore, right, so it hasn't met our 8-tick requirement. Now, as soon as price gets down to here, now let's measure this move. So let's see, this is a quarter, so we got 4, 8, 10. All right, so 10. So this move down to here is 10 ticks. So now if we add 6, right, 6 and 10 is 16, and the average of that is 8 ticks. So when you average out this 6-tick move plus this 10-tick move, when you average it out, that's 8 ticks, and so that met our requirement of 8 ticks. So then the solver gives us a full value of 1, a full confidence of 1 in its output. Right, and you can see that as price is moving down, the output of that solver, keeps going higher and higher the closer it gets to our 8-tick average that we're looking for. All right, so let's kind of look at this again. So let's start at this low point here. So from there to here, this is, let's see, 75, so this is 12 ticks. Yeah, so 2875 to 3175, 12 ticks. So we got, so this, so we got 12 ticks up here, and then let's see when. It's hard to say when this downtrend was actually determined, but let's just let me just pick this bar here. Let me just say that this downswing was determined on this bar here. And so we have a price movement of 5 ticks.
Order filled.
So, okay, so at the close of this bar here, right, we're at a 5-tick downswing plus the previous 12-tick, right, so 17 ticks, average those together, that is 8.5 ticks. So between these two swings, and this current swing, which would still be in motion, right, so so if we're looking at this, see, like this was actually plotting here. So you would take 5 ticks, this 5-tick movement plus the 12-tick swing that already closed, already occurred, average those together, and that's 8.5 ticks. So that's why this whole area here was plotting. And if we step forward, of course, it kept moving down. Now, if we're stepping forward here, now we can see we're getting into some chop. But if we, let me calculate this move out here, and we'll take a look at why it stopped plotting here. So this move here, see, 75, so that's 6 ticks. Oops. 6 ticks. All right, so when price got down here to this lower low, it was averaging 12 and 6 ticks. All right, so that's greater than our 8-tick requirement. Now it stopped plotting as soon as this upswing was determined. So as soon as this upswing was determined, it took the previous swing of 6 ticks plus whatever the current swing value is, which is like only 4 ticks. Right, so it was only 4 ticks to this bar right here. So we had a 6-tick move before, and this would be the current, well, be this bar here. And then this current move would be 6 ticks plus the current move of 4 ticks from the low up to price would be 4 ticks. And so we can see that's less than our 8 tick movement. Even when price got up to here, which is 6 ticks again, right? So 6 ticks down, 6 ticks up, and that's less than our 8 tick requirement. So it stopped plotting as soon as this upswing was detected. So always remember this solver. So when you're looking at this in real time, it's looking at the current swing that's building. So this swing hasn't been locked in yet. This higher low has not been locked in yet. This swing is still building. And it doesn't get locked in until a new upswing has been detected by the indicator. So for this solver, in the current mode that we have, looking back 2 swings, averaging them out, the solver is looking at the current swing that's building. It's looking at the swing, its swing value of, let's see, 5 ticks. No, I'm sorry. 7 ticks. Yeah. So this current swing is 7 ticks. The swing that's currently building is 7 ticks, and this previous swing is 8 ticks. All right, so this swing here is 8 ticks. And this current swing that's building is only 7 ticks currently. All right, so you can see that we are, when you average the two together, we're half a tick shy, or well, 1 tick shy of actually getting the solver to plot our 8 tick requirement. We're just 1 tick shy on this current swing that's building. Now, if price keeps moving up here, we'll probably see a new upswing start. We can see on the solver's output is like at 0.86. Right, so all we needed was this 1 extra tick down, and this, oh, there we go. All right. So the indicator has determined that we're in a new upswing here. So this swing has been locked in at 7 ticks. And the current swing that's building isn't 7 ticks, it's actually 6 ticks. But I can't keep it up to date, so I'm not going to update it, but it's 6 ticks right now. If we go 1 tick higher, then we'll be at 7 ticks. So, all right, so let's see some other things you can do here with this solver. You can see there's different modes. So if you want, you can look back and look at the minimum. So I can look back 3 swings and make sure that if I'm looking back 3 swings, that I want to make sure that the smallest swing was at least 8 ticks. So I'm looking back for the smallest swing of the last 3. Let's take a look here. So this guy was 13. This swing here is, let's see, 50-50, 12. That was 12 ticks. And this one here, this one here is 4, 8, 9. Do I have a 9? Oh, I don't have 9. But this was 9 ticks. And I better keep going back here. Let's see, this was 9 ticks as well. So set this up at 9 ticks. This swing here was 6 ticks. Let me grab this 6 tick. And this swing was 6 ticks. All right, so let's take a look at this bar right here and find out why the solver determined that at this point our conditions were met. So this is what we're doing. We're looking for this. We're looking back 3 swings, and we're looking for the smallest swing to be 8 ticks or greater. So as soon as so let me so if this is the current swing being built, remember it's not quite 12 ticks yet. It's only 12 ticks when it actually closes. It gets up to here, but on this current bar, it gets up to here, so it's actually 9 ticks. So when price is up here, we're at a 9 tick move up here. So the current swing that would be building is 9 ticks. The previous swing is 9 ticks, and the swing before that is 9 ticks. So the last 3, so the current swing and the last 2 swings are greater than 8 ticks, and that's why I started plotting. So remember, when this number of swings always includes the current swing that's actually being built. So the current swing that's being built is swing 1. This would be swing 2, and this would be swing 3. So that's why I started plotting here. Is we got 9 ticks on the current swing, 9 ticks previously, and 9 ticks previously. All right, so that's minimum mode, and maximum mode, well, it would just kind of be essentially the opposite. So you can see we almost have no, there we go, here's a little spot, a dead zone. So with this being the current bar right here, let me mark it. Right, so this being the current bar, this would be, let me move forward. Right, so this would be the current swing. This downswing would be the current one. Right, so that is 6 ticks. Then we have 7 ticks right here, and then we have 6 ticks again. Right, so these last 3 swings, all 3 of them are less than 8 ticks. So that's why it stopped plotting, because it's looking for the maximum. It's looking for the maximum swing. Out of these 3, it's going to take the greatest or the longest swing and use that to meet our condition. Now, if we step forward, so this is the current swing being built, and as soon, let me mark it. So from here up to here, this is 8 ticks. So as soon as 8 ticks was met on the current swing, and then it looks back. Basically, it's just looking for the maximum, the longest swing of the last 3, and so the current one met our 8-tick requirement, and so therefore it started plotting. So that's how maximum mode works. Now this start swing start a go. So if I set this to 1, that's kind of like so what it does, if I set this to 1, then what happens is instead of using the current swing, it's going to start 1 swing ago. So it's going to look at the previous swing that's already been locked in and start counting from the previous swing. So it'll ignore the current swing that's being built and look back 1 swing. So if I wanted to, I could say, you know, start from 2 swings back. So this would be the second swing back that it would start looking. Well, that's what that setting does.
Order filled.
All right, I'm going to take a moment and look at your questions and try and wrap this guy up. So we've been going for 2 hours here. And so this kind of concludes this series where I walked through, each solver one at a time. And so from this point out, we're going to try and take some of your questions that come in and show them in the workshop. If you guys have questions we'd like to answer in the workshop, please send them in. We'd love to show them. Use them as training examples here. And so if we don't get questions, then Jeremy and I will just try and kind of pick out some themes to cover in the workshops as well. So let me look through some of these questions. Let's see. All right. Thanks, Randy. And John here, did you make money on your auto scalper running? Yeah, you know, I thought it'd be kind of fun to let these things run in the background. Let me pull up the charts and we'll take a look. I thought we'd kind of break up the all the tedious talking going on. Oh yeah, so you know what? Here's a question that someone had sent in that wanted us to cover this in one of the workshops here. So I didn't make it today. So we'll start with this one next week. And essentially, he's got a bunch of indicators, and you can see here some of these indicators are on different time frames. Right. So this indicator down here is on a 50-minute. This one down here is on a 60-minute. And so we'll go through this and how to set up your indicators on different time frames and put them all together. But let's pull up, there we go, there's one of the charts. All right, so here is, these are the 2 charts that are actually running the strategy. You can see SI Raven is running here. This chart is just a blank chart, but I have the chart trader turned on. So that way I have the chart trader turned on here so we can see the profit and stops on this chart. So NinjaTrader won't show your profit. Well, let me rephrase this another way. If you have a strategy running, you can see that the chart trader button is disabled here. So you can't run a strategy and the chart trader on the same chart. So I just have my instruments linked up, right? So this chart here, I'm using the brown color, and it's synced up with this chart, which is on brown as well. And so this chart is running the strategy. This chart just allows me to see the profit and stop flags. So let's see, how do we open this up and shoot, it's not, oh, let me go into the properties here. I might have to go into the strategy itself, but let's see if I can show the profit. Let's see, it should be profit and loss display units, points. So the chart trader is not going to show me my accumulated profits for this auto trader. So the other way to do it is I can right click on the chart that's running the strategy. You can see I have strategy performance and select the strategy, and I'll just look at real time only. So we'll look at real time results only, which actually this has been running, I think, since yesterday. So it's been running real time today and yesterday. And nothing. I wonder if it's because I'm running an ATM. Well, let me take a look at historical and real time. And nothing again. Shoot. Not sure why it's not showing me any results. You can see all these trades placed. Let's see, yeah, nothing on this chart. Real time. It's not showing me anything. I see so many guys are typing in, so maybe you guys have some suggestions here. Oh, did I have that off? Okay, thanks, Bill. Let me check this again. I thought I had that set to true, but maybe not. So, oh, it is on false. All right, thanks, Bill. Thanks for catching that. Hey, there we go. Oh, what a bummer. Well, as you can see, looking at these signals, some of them look good, but what? I mean, right now, price is just chopping around. So this strategy here is the MA bounce. So it's trying to detect bounces off of the moving average, but of course, if price is chopping around, just penetrating this moving average, then it creates a losing trade. But looks like this last one was a winner here. So let me go back to this guy and set the properties correct. All right, set that to true. And, oh, that's right. I have them both running on the Bloodhound sim account. So, yeah, so both values are the same. Well, so there you have it. These strategies here, which I need to get them up on the website. I think this strategy here, this signal volume oscillator. So what I've done is I've kind of just created some starter strategies here to give you some signals. You know, they're not very sophisticated. They're just beginners. They definitely need a lot more filters built into them than what I've done. You can see it's just a fairly simple set of solvers here, and there's a lot of solvers because it's looking back on previous bars. So like this solver here is looking back 3 bars. These two solvers are looking back 2 bars. and it's using this volume oscillator. But I do believe that one I have on up on the site. So let me show you. So I showed you in the beginning of the class here. Let's see, we go down to learn. So we go down to the download section. So there's no video associated with these. So in order to get the template files, you have to go to the download section. And let's see, Bloodhound templates. So let's go into the Bloodhound templates. And I have a naming scheme that here. Let's see. All right, so this is showing the description of it. Let me go to the second page, see if it's on the second page. There we go. It's on the second page. So volume, oscillator, divergence, signal. So that's what this guy is here. And I have another one up here. I know I'm pretty sure I put 2 of them up here, and I have a bunch more. I just need to post them up here. No, I guess it looks like that's the only signal I posted up so far. So sorry about that, guys. I'll get the other ones up too. I've got a handful of them that I put together. So I'll try and get those up there soon. All right. Well, with that. Gary, so Gary's asking, Zach, did you say you can do divergence? I am working on it. I started working on it, and I haven't had a chance to finish it. I say I'm about 80% there. There's just one little part of it that's not working out. But I think with the release of 1.1, it's going to make it a lot easier. It's going to take a lot less solvers with version 1.1. So in a way, I've kind of been waiting for 1.1 to come out before I actually let that go. Because right now, it's really messy because with divergence, what you're doing is you're looking at these swing points here. You know, you're looking at this price swing point, this previous price swing point, right? So you have to have a solver for every bar that you're looking back, right? So that means, you know, so that creates a lot of solvers to look back this many bars. And so with version 1.1, with some of the functionality, it will eliminate all these solvers that are looking back for each bar. So it'll really clean it up and it'll look a lot better. So a lot easier to understand too. So, all right, Gary, would you show me again what Bill pointed out on how to get the strategy performance to show the results? Oh, yes, it was Phil, by the way. It was Phil that showed that, pointed that out. Yeah, so let me open up the chart trader and right-click on a blank area, and then I can go to the chart trader properties. And it's this setting right here, show realized profit loss when flat. Right, so what this does is if a trade is actually, if a trade is on and is active, it'll show you the profit and loss of the current trade, and then as soon as that trade closes out and you're flat, then it'll show you your total profit and loss for the day. Or actually, I think the previous, I think it'll show you the profit and loss for the previous 2 days or something like that, or whenever the last time you started NinjaTrader up. All right. Well, guys, thanks for hanging in there for 2 hours. It's quite a long webinar, and I'm going to wrap it up there. So thanks, and we'll, like I said, we'll start next week with, I wish I could remember the person's name, but we're going to start with this. Oh, shoot. My chart won't come up now. Let's see. Let's see. There we go. No, that's not it. Oh, selecting the wrong one. So I'm going to start next week with this guy here, and show you how you use multiple instruments on multiple time frames and put it all together. So, all right, thanks guys. I'm going to end it here. Have a good rest of your week.